when you're a mom and you're in, especially when you are newly postpartum,
oh my gosh,
you're learning how to regain that strength. But then also, if you don't have any other mommy friends, then it's kind of like nobody relates. So I want to create that space for someone who's a mom, because I experienced that when I became a mom. I only had 2 friends that were moms, and it was kind of like, I know I was going through the motions of just filling out motherhood, filling out what being a mom was now, with single friends, with friends with no kids, and it's just really different. And I don't know, I feel like more people should talk about how different it is and the dynamics of, you know, what that transition is. But I know for sure that I want to build that opportunity for other moms to be able to say, hey, well, I have somebody that I can, you know, I have this opportunity to go spend time with other moms who get me. So
thank you for sharing that, because like you said, a lot of people aren't talking about that. And I'm not a mom, but I hear so many stories, and I'm very grateful that God has aligned me with women that are mothers and are okay with sharing that, just, you know, giving them that safe space. I have a friend that kind of opened up about it. She's like a recent mom. I hope she's okay with me talking about this. I'll make sure she's okay with me before I post it.
Yeah.
But she opened up, and I'm very big on always making sure I set the tone for a safe space with anybody that I have conversations with, and making sure that they're comfortable, and just not always having to share my opinion, and just listen and be understanding. I really try to do that as much as I can.
Yeah.
And she did open up, and I was so grateful for that, because I don't need to be a mom to try to understand or like have to have that experience to be that friend that's there to listen to her. But one thing that I make sure of, because out of my closest friend group, only one of my friends has a daughter that I love so much. I try to be very intentional and genuine in being a part of her life, and just being consistent, and reminding my best friend that I'm intentional with that. And I had to tell my other friends, she needs to surround herself around people that are, even though we're like, the majority of my friend group we're not single, but we're just not mothers yet. That doesn't mean we can't
understand.
Yeah, right. So I was telling her, I was like, you have to surround yourself around people that intentionally want to be involved in you and your son's life, you know, and that want to be a part of that journey.
Absolutely.
You know, and just, you know, I think sometimes they shy away from wanting to attend certain things. My best friend will be at school, and I'll have her daughter, and we'll go to she's going to the gym with me. We're going to dinner together.
See, that's a blessing.
We're doing everything together, you know.
Girl, I'm gonna tell you, I feel like some of it was the pandemic, but like literally, because, you know, I feel like people don't have grace when it comes to these past 2 years. They forget, you know, we get out of a situation, tend to forget, like, we were just in a pandemic. But just a short like visual for me, when I got pregnant, I immediately found out that my husband couldn't come into my appointments. He couldn't come into the ultrasounds. And like literally, we had just we got married March the 7th of 2020. That weekend after we got married, lockdown was Monday.
Oh my god.
Yes. And so I actually conceived on my honeymoon.
Beautiful.
The night of my wedding. And so I found that I was pregnant in May, which was the heart of where everybody was kind of scared. It was kind of like, oh, we can't travel, we can't do this. So I already knew that was going to look different for me, but I didn't know how different it was going to look. So my baby shower, my reveal, everything was virtual. Yeah. And so I feel like I didn't get to share those moments with my friends. And however, I felt like most of them understood because they did show up. But then kind of it got cloudy as like throughout my pregnancy. I wasn't hearing from certain friends. And then other friends were kind of like still on the go and moving and grooving and thriving, even though they were telling us stay at home, you know, don't be in groups. You know, it was tough. They was telling us like,
especially
don't be in a group.
They was saying nobody at home.
Yeah, and people was dying. So imagine me being pregnant. And in the climate of the situation, I'm immediately like, okay, I'm going to do exactly what I have to do so that I can make sure me and the baby safe.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that kind of changed some of my relationships because those moments are when you're supposed to have your friends that plan your baby shower.
Yeah.
And they step in and they plan your reveal and they make sure everything goes smoothly and things like that. And I didn't get that. And I didn't hold that. I didn't like hold anyone to that. But I think as I went on, after I had Angel, that's my first baby, beautiful. I found out like 5 or like a couple months after, like 5 or 6 months after, I found out I was pregnant again. With
knocking them out. With
Amor.
Yes.
And so then there was another situation where I had everything virtual, but I was able to have her little, it wasn't even a real baby shower, girl. It was like immediate family meetup, and we ate food and we had cake. I feel like along the way, some of my friends felt like excluded, but I don't think they realized that it was because I was just trying to protect my family. Right, it was more so for me to keep her in good health, because they was telling me stuff like, okay, if you go and have this baby, at any point you can have this baby, if you go in there and the baby has COVID, then if you have COVID, then I can't even hold my baby.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, they would immediately have her go either stay at the hospital or go to her dad, and I would have to still be away, like after just having her. Yeah. So a lot of that was crazy, but I think just that. So that's just the COVID part of it, right. But
everything else that comes with that.
Additional that comes with that is like, the whole, everyone says when you start to have kids and get married and things, that sometimes, if you have friends that aren't
aligned in where you're at in life, probably
you could outgrow them, or that things will be different and they might not know how to meet you where you are, and vice versa. And so I feel like a lot of that, and I think what made it worse was the fact that we had COVID. And so I feel like I went through this whole thing mentally. Like, I felt alone. I felt like I didn't have anybody. I felt like some friends that I would have wanted to be there more. I wasn't able to share that with them because they were still like moving. And I'm like, well, quarantine so I can see you, you know? Yeah. Stay at home so we can meet up and I can invite you, But if it's like a continuous out of town thing or always on the go, I didn't always feel comfortable saying, well, come by, because I'm like scared, at that point, no one knew what to think. Yeah. But I think that for me, so just sharing that space and knowing that some other mom went through that too. Yeah. So I'm like, hey, I want to create where I can make sure that I bond with other moms too, to say you're not alone, because I really felt alone. I really did. Yeah.